Chapter 1. The Trace of Blood and Ash. The night was heavy with silence, broken only by the whisper of the wind dragging ashes across the desolate plain. The stench of charred wood still lingered in the air, mixed with something far darker, the metallic tang of blood. Kael moved cautiously between the ruins of what had once been a village, his boots crunching over the remnants of burnt beams and shattered clay. Shadows clung stubbornly to the half-standing walls, like memories refusing to die. His hand rested on the hilt of his sword, though there was no one left here to fight, only the echoes of screams carried away by time. A trail marked the ground, streaks of dark, dried crimson leading towards the forest. The blood had hardened into black stains, yet the story it told remained vivid. A struggle, a flight, a capture. Kael's jaw tightened as he knelt, brushing his fingers over the marks. Still warm. Not more than a day old. Whoever had done this was not far. The wind shifted, and with it came another scent. Faint, but undeniable. Smoke, fresh this time, carried from deeper within the trees. He rose, pulling his cloak tighter around him. The world beyond the ashes waited, and with it, perhaps answers to the questions gnawing at him. Who had raised the village, and what had become of its people? He stepped into the darkness of the forest, leaving behind the blood and the ash, but not their weight, for they clung to him like shadows, and he knew that every step forward would draw him closer to a truth steeped in violence, and to the destiny he could neither escape nor yet understand. Chapter 2. Whispers beneath the trees. The forest swallowed Kael whole. Branches wove together above him, blotting out the moonlight, and the air grew heavy with damp earth and the faint rot of fallen leaves. Every step stirred whispers in the underbrush, yet he could not tell if they belonged to the wind or something watching. The trail of blood had thinned, smeared against roots and stones, but it remained steady. Whoever had fled was wounded badly, their pace faltering. Kael's eyes narrowed. Perhaps one soul from the village had escaped the slaughter, or perhaps it was a cruel trick, a lure left by the same hands that had burned everything behind him. A sudden rustle snapped his hand to his sword. Out of the darkness, two yellow eyes gleamed, feral, unblinking. A wolf emerged, ribs visible beneath its ragged fur, its breath steaming in the chill. More followed, silent and deliberate, circling him with hunger sharp enough to taste. Kael did not move. He had faced beasts before, but these were different. Their silence was unnatural, their gazes fixed not on prey, but on him, as if driven by something unseen. The first wolf lunged, steel flashed. The strike was clean, and the beast collapsed without a sound. Yet the others did not scatter. Instead, they advanced together, jaws bared, eyes burning with an eerie light. Kael fought. Steel bit into fur and flesh, but with each kill came no cry, no howl, only silence and the steady drip of blood on roots. When the last fell, he stood panting, his blade slick, his cloak torn. The forest was quiet again, too quiet, as though it had been holding its breath. Then, faintly, a voice. It drifted between the trees, fragile as smoke, yet clear enough to pierce him, a child's sob, muffled by distance. Kael froze, his grip tightened on the sword. That sound could mean salvation, a survivor, or it could mean another trap. Either way, he had no choice but to follow. And so he moved, deeper into the heart of the forest, chasing the weeping echo, unaware that with each step he was drawing nearer not only to the truth, but to the shadow that had already begun to weave its snare around him. Chapter 3. the Hollow Refuge. The sound of weeping carried Kael through the maze of trees until the forest opened into a hollow. Moonlight spilled through a break in the canopy, silvering the clearing and revealing what lay at its heart. A ruined shrine, half swallowed by ivy and age. There, beside the crumbling altar, knelt a girl no older than 12. Her dress was torn, her hair matted with dirt, her shoulders trembling with sobs that echoed against the stone. For an instant, Kael felt the world shift. The blood, the ashes, the wolves, all of it converged on this fragile figure, as if fate had led him here. He stepped forward cautiously. "Child," his voice low, careful, "are you hurt?" The girl raised her head. Her eyes glistened with tears, but behind them lay something more, an emptiness, vast and unsettling, as though her gaze stretched beyond him, beyond the world itself. "They're gone," she whispered, "all of them. The fire took them." And then the shadows. Kael's chest tightened. He sheathed his blade, kneeling so his eyes met hers. "You survived. That means something." But the girl shook her head, clutching a charm that hung from her neck, a small shard of obsidian bound in twine. "No, it means they'll come for me too. They always come." A chill crawled down Kael's spine. The air in the hollow thickened, the shadows at the shrine's edge stirring as if listening, the wolves' unnatural silence, the burned village, the trail of blood. All of it pointed to something more than bandits or beasts. Kael reached out, placing a steady hand on the girl's shoulder. "Then we will face them together." Before she could reply, the forest groaned. Branches creaked as though strained by unseen hands, and the clearing darkened. From the tree line, figures began to emerge. Tall, gaunt silhouettes draped in tattered cloaks, faces hidden behind masks carved of bone. They carried no torches, yet their presence bled darkness into the night. The girl's sobs ceased. She gripped Kael's arm, whispering with a tremor that cut to the bone, "The shadows." Kael drew his sword once more. His pulse thundered, but his voice was steady. "Stay behind me." The masked figures advanced, silent, inevitable, and Kael knew in that moment that the true trial had only just begun. Chapter 4. The Weight of Oaths. The shrine lay silent once more, though the memory of the masked figures lingered in Kael's mind like a wound that refused to close. The girl had not spoken since. They had fled deeper into the forest, guided only by the pale shimmer of moonlight filtering through the leaves. She walked close to him, clutching the shard at her chest as if it were the only thing keeping her tethered to life. Kael glanced at it more than once. Obsidian was rare here, and bound in such a way it spoke not of ornament, but of ritual. The thought gnawed at him. Was she a mere survivor, or the key to something darker? The forest thinned at last, opening to a ridge where the land fell away into a valley below. Smoke curled faintly in the distance, another village, alive, untouched. For a fleeting moment, Kael felt relief, but it was soon drowned by caution. Whoever had burned the last village might already have eyes here. "We should head down," he said quietly. The girl shook her head. "They'll find us if we go there." Her voice was sharper now, no longer trembling. "The shadows hunt those who seek safety. They want the shard." Kael studied her, the weight of her words heavy in the night. He had seen too much to dismiss the claim as childish fear, yet neither could he ignore the living souls in the valley. If danger truly followed this girl, bringing her among innocents might be no different than delivering doom to their gates. His thoughts tangled, but one thing was clear. Leaving her was not an option. He had taken an oath long ago, one he could never seem to bury, that no child under his watch would be abandoned to darkness. He turned his gaze towards the valley. The decision carved itself into him like a blade into flesh. He would take her there, but remain watchful. If the shadows followed, they would find him waiting. The girl seemed to sense his resolve. For the first time since he had found her, she allowed herself a faint, fragile smile. But in her eyes, Kael saw no relief, only a quiet knowing, as if she understood that what awaited them in the valley was not sanctuary, but the next chapter in a story written in blood. Chapter 5. Chains of Empire. The valley greeted them with the hush of night. Lamps still burned faintly within the distant village, their glow fragile against the vast dark. For a moment it almost seemed peaceful, too peaceful, as though the land itself held its breath. Kael and the girl descended the ridge in silence. The air was heavy, and each step carried the echo of choices neither could undo. By the time they reached the village outskirts, dawn had begun to grey the horizon. The first cries came with the breaking light. Villagers stirred from their homes, startled by the strangers at their gates. But before Kael could speak, horns blared from the hills, low, guttural, and merciless. Armored riders poured into the valley, banners snapping in the wind, black cloth emblazoned with the golden sigil of the Empire. Their charge thundered like a storm, and within moments the village erupted into chaos. Kael drew his blade, but this was no skirmish with shadows or beasts. This was war descending on the helpless. Soldiers crashed through the streets, their discipline cold, efficient. Doors splintered, flames rose. "Stay close," Kael barked, pulling the girl behind him as he cut through the first wave. Steel rang against steel, and the air filled with the screams of the dying. Yet for every soldier he struck down, 3 more took their place. It did not take long. A blow to the back forced him to his knees. Another tore the sword from his grasp. The girl cried out, clutching the shard at her chest as armored hands seized them both. Through the haze of pain, Kael glimpsed the commander, a tall figure in gilded armor, face hidden behind a helm wrought in the likeness of a hawk. His voice was iron as he addressed the troops. "Bind them. The shard belongs to the Emperor. The man will answer for his defiance." Chains bit into Kael's wrists, the weight of steel sealing his fate. He met the girl's gaze as they were dragged apart. Her eyes no longer held fear, but something far more unsettling: acceptance. The soldiers marched them towards the horizon, the village burning behind. Kael's heart pounded with fury, but also with a grim certainty. The shadows were not the only enemy. The Empire had its hand in this as well, and whatever destiny bound him to the girl, it had only just begun to unravel. The road stretched endless before them, bathed in the red of dawn, and though Kael was shackled, his spirit remained unbroken. Somewhere beyond the horizon lay the truth, of the shard, of the girl, of the darkness closing in. The story did not end here. It could not.